Hello, and welcome to Cooking with Commodities. I'm Megan Faust, the Casey County 4-H agent, and today we're going to try a new recipe. And the recipe today is cherry almond granola bars. So this one is super simple. We just need our stovetop, and then we're going to mix everything together and then have some tasty granola bars. So we're going to go over our ingredients first. We need a half cup of creamy almond butter or cashew butter, peanut butter, whatever works best for you. We need half a cup of honey. Sometimes I use agave nectar or maple syrup. And then we need a 1/4 teaspoon vanilla, a 1/4 teaspoon almond extract, and that's optional. If you don't have that, that's okay. 1/8 of a teaspoon of cinnamon, a pinch of salt, 2 cups of oats, 1 cup of almonds, and they ask they be unsalted and roughly chopped. I'm actually using sliced almonds today. I found them and they were a little less expensive than a big bag of almonds, so we're using sliced almonds. And then a cup of dried cherries, which is what you're gonna get in your commodities box this week. So the first thing I did is we prepared a 9x9 baking dish with parchment paper. So I went ahead and did that. I have found if I don't use parchment paper when they say I should, I regret it. So what I did is I actually cut out the corners, and that helps it fit in that dish a little bit easier. And then you've got the pieces that hang out on the side, and it makes it easier to then lift up once everything's finished. So I've got that. You can use wax paper, but when I've used wax paper, it ends up getting stuck and then it rips easily. So if you have parchment paper, great. If not, you can just grease it and that'll be just fine. So I've been heating up my pan because our next step is that we are going to whisk together the almond butter or the peanut butter, whatever you have. I'm using peanut butter, and the honey, vanilla, and the almond extract, and then cinnamon and salt. So I have my half cup of peanut butter. And so what we're gonna do is we're putting all of the somewhat liquid items together, and then we're going to mix those dry ingredients together and then add them to this once everything is melted and then mixed really well together. So we have our peanut butter, then we have our half cup of our honey, then we have our vanilla and our almond extract. And you have to really pay close attention. They look exactly the same. So you just to make sure to read vanilla, almond. And almond is just, almond extract is just gonna give a little bit more of that almond flavor. And so we're gonna have a 1/4 of a teaspoon of each. So we have our vanilla. And then we have our almond. And the almond is clear. So if you happen to get them confused and you're like, wait a second, my vanilla is clear, it's because you have the almond extract. And then we're gonna do our 1/8 of a teaspoon of our cinnamon. So just a dash. Already smells so good. And then just a pinch of salt. So just a pinch. And so we're gonna let this heat up and let that peanut butter melt down a little bit. While that is melting, I am going to mix together our 3 remaining ingredients, which are our oats, our almonds, and our cherries. So I have my 2 cups of oats in here. I have my sliced almonds. I have my roughly chopped cherries. And then I'm going to go ahead and give these a little mix. And that'll help prevent any clumps when we add this to our peanut butter mixture once it's all melted. So we've got that, and it looks like that. All right, so our peanut butter mixture is all melted. So I'm gonna remove it off the heat. We do have to be careful, make sure that it's on a lower temp because we don't wanna scorch the peanut butter and get it to stick to the pan. And then it's not gonna taste very good. So we have our peanut butter mixture. And then now that we have our mixture that we added, we're gonna add this all together. And make sure that everything is well incorporated. So all the oats should look somewhat wet. So if you have any of those dry spots where the oats look kind of dry, that means you gotta keep stirring. And then you know it's ready when it's kind of hard to stir. Gotta use those arm muscles. All right, and then it's gonna look like that. So then I'm going to grab my prepared 9x9 dish. And then I'm going to spread it evenly into this dish, and I'm gonna start by scooping instead of just trying to pour, because I'll probably make a mess. And sometimes when you do this, you might find some other spots that you gotta mix because you may have missed it. Use our spatula to make sure we get everything out of there. And then I'm just gonna use the back of my spatula and then just push this down and try to keep it as even as possible because these are gonna be your granola bars. And so you want them to be about the same thickness. Make sure to get into those corners. And I'm gonna push down a little bit more firmly because if I don't, they may not stick together. So nice and firm. Get those corners. And then it does say if you want to add a little bit of flaky salt. And we're gonna do just that, just a little bit. Just to be a little fancy. And there you have your cherry almond granola bars. We're gonna put these in the refrigerator for about an hour to chill, and then we'll be able to cut them into pieces. Enjoy!